Okay, so the next thing in understanding our homeowner's perspective is identifying and dealing with difficult clients, right? We've all had those difficult clients. So in my 17 years of dealing with homeowners, I have realized that I can find out if a client is going to be difficult based on asking them one question. Does anyone want to guess what the question is? Who wasn't here this morning? Anyone? Any ideas? Okay. Here's the question. What do you do? So I have realized out of all of my years of doing this that I can basically tell if they're going to be a difficult client based on what their profession is. So I've put together my list. I have my top 4. And I want to do a little audience survey here. Let's see, you guys tell me who you think are on my list of top 4s. Anyone want to guess? Engineers, okay. Lawyers. Anything else? Engineers, lawyers? Doctors? Okay, there's one more. Accountants? No, they're close, but bankers? Yeah, designers? No. Well, I mean, those could be on there, but here's my list. Okay, so number 1 is engineers, right? That's what most of you guys said. That's what they said this morning as well. We all know engineers, right? Why are engineers so difficult? Well, for a few reasons. One is, you know, they're used to being experts in their field, right? They're used to knowing everything about their subject, or thinking that they know everything about their subject. So, and the thing is that, again, they don't know a lot about a home construction project. You know, even if they're a construction engineer, like this guy designing a bridge, you know, I'm sure he's not worried about what kind of flooring he's putting in that bridge. That's not going to be a big crisis for him with that. So it's funny, 2 days ago, I was at dinner, and this guy walked by me. I knew he was an engineer because he was wearing this T-shirt. And I just cracked up, and I had to stop him and talk to him. And so I, of course, asked if I could take a picture of his shirt. He said, sure, but don't take a picture of my face. So I said, okay. And then I told him what I was going to talk about here at IBS, and he totally agreed with me. He said, oh, yeah, well, we're just difficult. And I loved what he said. He said, you know, engineering is not a profession. It's a way of life. He said, I approach everything with a certain way. And he said, and I know I'm a pain in the butt. And his wife is there going, oh, yeah, he's a pain in the butt. So, you know, another thing about engineers, this is really important, is if you think about what does an engineer do? They're always re-engineering things, right? So they're always changing things. And that's what they're going to do with their home construction project. So that's really important to know. When you get an engineer, they're going to make tons of changes. You know that. So make sure you've got good change order language. And we're going to talk more about change orders later in this presentation. Okay, number 2, doctors. Doctors. Why doctors? Well, they're kind of similar to engineers, right? They're used to being the experts in their field. They're used to being the source of answers. You know, life and death issues, and it's up to the doctor. But again, they don't know much about the home construction process. So that whole, and not only do they not know a lot about it, but all of those uncertainties that I just talked about, very difficult for a doctor to handle. So another thing, if you're doing a remodel with a doctor, what I found is they have a real hard time understanding that every house is built differently. So I had one client, he was a surgeon from Phoenix, his name was Dr. A. And we were doing the demo, and we found a gas line in one of the walls that we wanted to remove. And he just couldn't understand why we couldn't have known that that gas line was there. And finally, I got it, and I explained to him, I said, you know, Dr. A, you could look at 1,000 people's forearms, and the radius and the ulna are in the exact same place. But you look at 1,000 different homes, and the gas lines are in a different place in almost every home, unless it's a tract home. And then he understood the process better. Okay, number 3 is attorneys. All right, some people have them at the top of the list. I've got them 3rd. Again, remember that mistrust of contractors we talked about? Attorneys feed on that, kind of almost unconsciously, you know, but they've seen those reality TV shows, they believe them. But the other thing about attorneys is if you think about it, they're in a profession where they're paid to not trust people. They have to think about, well, what if something goes wrong? And so that's part of the issue with this in dealing with a home construction project. So one of the best stories that I've ever heard about an attorney was I gave a presentation in Minneapolis last year. And a contractor there had his attorney draft up his construction documents. And then 2 or 3 years later, the attorney became a client of his and did a remodel. And when he gave him his construction documents, he wouldn't sign them. Okay, so number 4 is not so much a profession as it is a lack of a profession, right? Retired people. Retired people. We've all dealt with retired people, right? They have lots of time on their hands. They dig into all the details. They ask 101 questions. They're at the job site more than you are. So, okay, so this is my list. This is my list of most difficult clients. So what do we do about this? Do we just avoid these people? No, I don't think so. I found that if you know in advance that what they do and you know what their tendencies are, then you can anticipate it, right? If you have an engineer, talk to them about changes. Explain your procedure for change orders. If it's a cost-plus job, explain how their changes are going to impact that. Every time they bring up a change, make sure that they understand that it's going to impact the budget and the schedule. If you have a doctor, document everything. Copy them on everything. Err on the side of giving them more information rather than less. And if you have an attorney, make sure everything's in writing. Just document everything. Now, some of you may say, I got a better idea. I'm going to just, when people call me up and they want a proposal, I'm just going to say, so what do you do? And if they tell me they're an engineer or an attorney, I'm going to say, you know, I'm really sorry, but I'm booked up till like 2019. So, you know, thanks. So I think that's a mistake, because what I have found is that difficult clients can be some of your best referrals, right? Dr. A was a total pain for me, but now he's one of my best references. I've gotten so much business out of Dr. A because I understood him and I knew how to interact with him. And he knew he was difficult. And he probably had lots of bad experiences with other people that didn't understand how to deal with doctors. Okay, so let's go back to Zach. So Zach now has realized that on every project, he's building 2 things, right? He's not just building a construction project, but he's building a relationship with a client as well.